You've seen the claims. This penny is worth $1 million. This quarter can make you rich overnight. But is it true? The truth is, most of it is completely fake. Exaggerated prices, misleading hype. That's what we're here to expose. Welcome to Rare Coin Collecting. We reveal the real value, real history, and true rarity of coins that actually matter. From wheat pennies to rare state quarters. We cover it all with facts, not fiction. We explore coins in detailed series, one country at a time. And right now, we're focused on rare US coins. Subscribe now and discover the truth behind the coins.
They said this Michigan quarter could make you rich overnight. But is it true? Or just another viral fantasy? Here's the real story. In 2004, the US Mint released the Michigan State Quarter as the 26th coin in the 50 State Quarters program. The design features the Great Lakes and the full outline of the state. It's clean, bold, and deeply meaningful for collectors with Michigan roots. But today, we're zeroing in on one very specific version of this coin, the 2004's Michigan Silver Proof Quarter. And trust me, this one's not your average pocket change. Let's get something straight first. If you find a Michigan quarter in circulation, it's likely a clad version, not silver and not rare. But the silver proof? That one was never released into circulation at all. Only 1/716/1986 silver. Proofs were minted, struck with extra care at the San Francisco Mint using 90% silver blanks. They were only sold as part of the official silver proof sets, making them a premium collector's item from day one. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most people assume that proof coins don't vary much in value, but that's not true. Condition and grading make all the difference. A typical raw 2004's Michigan silver proof sells for about $10 to $15 today, but the highest graded examples, that's where the serious money kicks in. In PR70 DCAM, the absolute highest grade possible, with flawless deep cameo contrast, this coin has sold for up to $140 at public auctions. And that's not just once. Multiple examples graded PR70 DCAM by PCGS and NGC have consistently fetched strong premiums over the years. Why? Because silver proofs in perfect grade are rare. Even though over 1.7 million were made, only a small fraction survive in that absolute top-tier condition. Add in demand from silver stackers, Michigan collectors, and 50 State Series fans, and you've got a powerful mix driving prices higher. Now let's clear something up. There are no known major errors or varieties for the silver proof version of this coin. So if you see videos claiming you can flip a scratched Michigan quarter for thousands, that's clickbait. What really matters is, it's the silver proof version and not clad. It's graded PR70 DCAM by a top-tier grading company. It's housed in original certified slabs from PCGS or NGC, not raw or homemade labels. Those are the coins that sell for real money. And here's something collectors love about this specific issue. The map design has crisp engraving and strong contrast on silver, making the PR70 DCAM examples look stunning in hand. That visual appeal adds value over time. But here's the catch. If you're sitting on a 2004's Michigan silver quarter and it's not graded yet, it's risky to assume it's worth $100 plus. Unless you get that perfect grade, the coin may only sell for $10, $20. That's why professional grading and honest evaluation is key. At Rare Coin Collecting, we're here to cut through the hype and bring you the truth, the real history, real values, and what actually makes a coin valuable. If you're a coin investor, collector, buyer, or seller, and you're serious about knowing what actually matters, then this channel is made for you. We're on a mission to spread real, authentic coin knowledge. No hype, no clickbait. Stick with us for the next state quarter deep dive, and you'll be way ahead of the guessing game. They're calling it a $5,000 quarter, but don't fall for the hype yet, because the truth is more interesting than the headlines. And if you've got a 2004 Michigan quarter, especially one hiding in your change jar, you could be holding on to something special, but only if you know what to look for. Let's break it all down piece by piece. No hype, no clickbait. Just the real truth behind the Michigan D-State quarter. Here's where it all starts, a 2004 Michigan State quarter with the Denver mint mark, that little D on the front. You've probably seen dozens of these. They feature the outline of the state, all the Great Lakes, and that elegant script reading Great Lakes State. It looks simple, But there's much more to the story. The Michigan Quarter was the 26th release in the U.S. Mint's legendary 50 State Quarters program, rolled out on January 26, 2004. It celebrated Michigan's nickname, the Great Lakes State, showcasing the 5 interconnected lakes that define its geography and economy. Most people don't realize this, but despite the simple design, some of these quarters were minted with surprising errors, and a few were struck with such pristine quality that their value skyrocketed at auction. In total, over 459 million Michigan quarters were produced in 2004. From the Denver Mint, 225.8 million were struck. That's a huge number. But the majority were circulated heavily, tossed into pockets, vending machines, and car cup holders. So if you've got one that looks untouched, or if it has a strange defect, that's when things get interesting. Some of the most valuable Michigan D quarters come from minting errors, and these aren't common. But when they appear, they get attention fast. Things like off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, or clipped planches that look like a bite was taken out of the coin. Then you've got double die obverses, where letters like United States of America or E pluribus unum look doubled. There are also die cracks that streak across the lakes like little lightning bolts. The stronger and more visible the error, the higher the demand. Even without errors, a flawless coin can bring in serious money. A certified MS-67 Michigan D quarter, and with no errors at all, once sold for hundreds of dollars at auction. That's the power of grading. If your coin looks nearly perfect, that's where professional grading comes in. MS-60 means uncirculated but with marks. MS-65 means sharp with minimal flaws. MS-67 and above, near perfection. Under magnification, it should look almost untouched. Even a single grade point can double or triple the value. Now the big question, where do you find one? These coins are still out there. In junk drawers, coffee cans, basements, coat pockets, garages, even forgotten birthday cards. One viewer found a 2004 D with a clipped planche in a jar of old quarters, saved by their grandfather. They thought it was junk. It got appraised for over $300. If you think you found something, take your time. Don't rush to sell. Take clear photos under good light. Compare it with known varieties. If it looks flawless or has a unique defect, consider getting it graded. When it's time to sell, skip the pawn shops. Go with platforms like eBay, heritage auctions, great collections, or at least check values on PCGS Coinfax. If it's truly special, grading it first could be the smartest move you make. So is the Michigan D quarter worth $10,000? In almost every case, no. But if you've got an extraordinary error or a flawless MS-70 example, it's not impossible. Coins have shocked collectors before. There are versions of this coin that have sold for hundreds, even thousands when everything lines up. Condition, rarity, demand. That's why you never judge a quarter by its face value. At Rare Coin Collecting, we don't do hype. We bring you the real stories behind coins that matter. If you're a serious collector, investor, buyer, or seller, hit that subscribe button. We've got a lot more coming. And who knows, your next rare coin might be sitting just a few steps away, in your own house. People are saying this Michigan quarter sold for over $1,000, and the craziest part, it has the Denver Mint mark. Just a tiny D on the front. It's the kind of coin most people ignore. But if you've got one sitting in a jar or buried at the bottom of your junk drawer, you might want to take a second look. Because while most of these quarters are worth just 25 cents, some of them, just a few, have shocked collectors with what they've sold for. Let's talk about why. The 2004 D Michigan State Quarter was part of the 50 State Quarters program, and it was the 26th release. It came out on January 26, 2004, featuring the outline of Michigan and the 5 Great Lakes. At first glance, it's a pretty clean and simple design. No presidents, no buildings, just geography. But as always in numismatics, it's the small details that matter most. The Denver Mint produced just over 225.8 million of these coins. That sounds like a huge number. And it is. But remember this. Almost all of them went straight into circulation. People used them, spent them, dropped them on sidewalks and counters and forgot about them. That's why finding one in top condition is rare. Finding one with a mint error? Even rarer. Now here's where the story takes a turn. Some of these Denver minted Michigan quarters have been discovered with major mistakes. And that's when things get exciting. One collector came across a 2004 D that had a strong off-center strike, with about 10% of the design missing from one side. Another found one with a clipped planche, a noticeable chunk missing right out of the edge. Those kinds of mint errors can boost a coin's value into the hundreds, especially if the rest of the surface is clean. But it's not just errors. Even normal Michigan D quarters have sold for impressive prices when they're in perfect condition. A coin graded MS67 or higher by PCGS or NGC becomes a whole different story. One example, a 2004 D with no visible flaws and razor-sharp detail, sold for hundreds simply because of its grade. That's how powerful grading is in the coin world. Most people don't realize how rare true mint state coins are. MS60 means uncirculated but not perfect. MS65 is much better, with fewer marks and a stronger strike. MS67? That's almost flawless, and extremely tough to find in a coin that's been around for over 20 years. So what should you look for if you're holding a 2004 D quarter? First, check the surfaces. Is it scratched or worn down? Toss it back. But if the coin looks shiny, with no contact marks or discoloration, take a closer look. Use a magnifying glass to examine the lettering. Any doubling in the words United States of America or E pluribus unum might mean you've got a double die. Check the rim for any irregular shapes, cuts, or cracks. Even a small die break can make a coin more collectible. Now here's the fun part, where these coins actually hide. You won't find them at the bank, and you probably won't find one in a recent roll of quarters. But you might find one inside an old mason jar of change. You might dig one up from under the seat of your car. Maybe it's sitting inside a box your grandparents haven't opened in years. Some of the most valuable coin finds happened, not because someone was searching, but because they just happened to look at the right coin at the right time. If you think you've got something special, don't rush to sell. Take good photos, research known errors, and compare what you found to auction listings. If the coin looks nearly flawless, or if it has a strange minting defect, you should absolutely consider sending it in for grading. PCGS and NGC are the top-tier services. Yes, grading costs money, but if your coin comes back with a high grade or verified error, the value could go way up. And if you do want to sell, make sure you're going where serious buyers are looking. Heritage auctions, great collections, even eBay, if you know how to list it right and have good photos. Avoid selling to quick cash buyers who don't know what your coin might really be worth. So is the 2004 D Michigan quarter worth $1,000 or more? Not most of them, but a few. Absolutely. With the right error, the right grade, and the right timing, we've already seen it happen. And the best part? There are still more out there. At Rare Coin Collecting, we're here to uncover the truth, not just the headlines. We show you what really matters in this hobby. If you're a serious collector, buyer, seller, or investor, now's the time to subscribe, because every coin we cover is a chance to learn something new, and maybe even discover a hidden treasure of your own. This Michigan quarter wasn't made for circulation. You wouldn't find it in your pocket or from a vending machine. It wasn't struck at the Philadelphia Mint or the Denver Mint. This one has an S Mint mark. And believe it or not, collectors are paying serious money for certain versions of it. But here's the catch. You have to know the difference between what's valuable and what's common. We're talking about the 2004 S Michigan quarter, the clad-proof version. It looks just like the others at a glance. But when you hold it in your hand, everything changes. The mirror-like fields, the frosted details, the sharp precision of the strike. These were made differently. These coins were struck in San Francisco, inside a completely different minting environment. They were never meant to circulate. They were only sold to collectors and only inside proof sets. And even though the U.S. Mint produced millions of these, not all of them survived in perfect shape. Not all of them were kept in their original cases. And some of them have hit the market for shockingly high prices. Let's start with the basics. The San Francisco Mint struck two types of Michigan quarters in 2004, one in clad composition and one in 90% silver. The clad version is the one we're focused on. It has a copper nickel surface and a deep glossy finish. Over 2.7 million of these were made, which sounds like a lot, until you realize that most proof coins never leave their sets, and many lose value the moment they're damaged, spotted, or handled. Now here's the twist. A perfect example of this coin and 2004 Michigan clad proof graded PR70 Deep Cameo by PCGS or NGC can sell for a surprising amount, and not because it's rare in quantity, but because it's rare in perfection. Most proofs have tiny flaws when viewed under magnification. A perfect 70? That's a coin that looks like it came straight out of a dream, and that's what collectors chase. And then there's the problem of confusion. Many people find an S quarter and think they've struck gold, literally. But unless it's the silver version, the value won't be anywhere near those viral headlines. The clad proof in average condition might only fetch a few bucks. But if you've got one sealed, untouched, flawless, that's when things start getting serious. Now let's talk about spotting the difference. First, look for the mirror finish. The field should be glossy, almost black under certain light. The raised images, like the state outline and the lakes, should have a frosted matte look. That contrast is what collectors call cameo. If both the frosting and the mirrors are strong and there's no haze, no spots, no scratches, you might be holding a deep cameo. And if it grades PR69 or PR70, that's where the value jumps. So how do you know if you've got one? These coins don't show up in circulation, but they do show up in old estate boxes, forgotten proof sets, and inherited collections that haven't been opened in decades. Some were removed from their cases and tossed into coin albums or loose bins. Others were handled by curious fingers and lost their value before anyone knew what they had. That's why, when you find one still sealed in its original U.S. Mint lens, in untouched condition, it matters. If you find a Michigan proof quarter with an S mint mark and you're unsure whether it's clad or silver, check the edge. A clad proof will show a copper-colored stripe. A silver proof won't. It'll be solid silver all the way through. That one small detail can mean the difference between a $10 coin and one worth much more. Now let's say you've got a Michigan S proof in perfect shape. What should you do? First, don't handle it with bare hands. Use gloves, store it properly. And if it looks flawless under magnification, consider getting it graded. A PR70 Deep Cameo from PCGS or NGC is like winning the lottery for a modern proof coin. They're incredibly hard to get, and collectors compete fiercely for them. If you're ready to sell, do it the right way. Don't rush into a pawn shop or list it without research. Use trusted platforms like Heritage Auctions, Great Collections, or list it on eBay with proper photos and certification. A proof coin like this, in top grade, deserves a serious buyer. So can a 2004 Michigan clad quarter be worth hundreds? Maybe even more? If it's a certified PR70 Deep Cameo, absolutely. But even a PR69, if clean and beautiful, can fetch strong prices. The key is knowing what you've got and protecting it before it gets damaged. At Rare Coin Collecting, we're not here to spread myths. We're here to give you the real facts. Because whether it's a rare error, a perfect proof, or just a misunderstood mint mark, knowledge is what turns a coin into something valuable. If you're a serious collector, investor, buyer, or seller, subscribe now. And the next proof coin that breaks, the market might already be sitting in your collection, just waiting to be discovered.